Hey everyone, let's take a closer look at the Digital Instrument Interface 1 from ST Modular. The DII ONE is a compact MIDI controller and a routing hub for modern hybrid music setups. It combines USB MIDI, hardware MIDI and a CV clock output in one single small device. All of these functions can run at the same time. It's intentionally small and designed to sit right in front of your synth or even on top of it, so you always have hands-on control. Maybe just like this, so you can control everything and change parameters of the sampler, for example, or you just stick it on top here and it sits there and you can control hidden features and hidden parameters you might not be able to control from the front panel. It's powered by USB. There's a USB-C input on the left side, and it also receives USB MIDI through this USB-C port. The DII ONE also has a MIDI TRS input and output. This is TRS type A MIDI learn button, a CV clock output that converts MIDI clock to 5-volt pulses, and a proper on-off switch, because honestly, I don't like devices that can only be turned off by unplugging them. Okay, now let's have a look how we can use the DII ONE and what setup options we have. Okay, now we have the Elektron model samples and the DII ONE sitting in front of it, and I want to control a parameter of the model samples. The DII ONE is USB powered, and the MIDI TRS out is going to the MIDI TRS in on the model samples. And in order to MIDI learn a MIDI CC number, which means I turn a knob on the model samples and the MIDI CC is read by the DII ONE and assigned to a certain knob or push button. So first we need to stop the sequencer and we connect the MIDI in from the model samples into DII ONE so it can read the MIDI CC number. So in order to MIDI learn a MIDI CC, we simply press MIDI learn, and now we have to tell the DII ONE which controller we want to assign MIDI CC to. So I will turn the first knob and it will indicate with the LED that this knob is chosen, like so. And now we only need to turn a knob and it will tell that the MIDI CC number has been assigned to the target control, which is this knob, like so. Now we disconnect MIDI in again. We don't want to create feedback loops or MIDI loops. MIDI out into the sampler again. Now I should be able to control the pitch of the first track. Let's switch it on. And there's a kick. And let's turn this knob. Yeah, and the same way I can, for example, apply the DKCC without having to read the manual and the CC implementation. Just stopping the sequencer, connecting MIDI in, pressing the learn button and choosing the second knob, and this time we want to use DK and it has been assigned. We disconnect MIDI in again to avoid MIDI loops, and now let's start the sequencer again. We have pitch here and DK here, and we can do the same with notes. Let's stop the sequencer again and we want to assign, for example, a note to the push button. Press MIDI learn, we choose this button and we choose this note assigned to this push button. We disconnect MIDI in and connect MIDI out, and now I should be able to play the kick from this button. Yeah, simple as that. Yeah, obviously if your synth is not able to send MIDI CC on the MIDI out, you can use the web configurator to update any MIDI data on the DII ONE via your web browser. You can assign CC numbers, set minimum, maximum values, adjust knob responses from logarithmic to anti-log or linear, define button behavior, filter MIDI data and save presets. There's also a built-in MIDI monitor, so you can verify everything you've just uploaded to your DII ONE digital instrument interface. Okay, that's it. Let's go to the next setup. Okay, now in this video, let's try to use the DII ONE to control the DAW, for example, Ableton. First, we need to go into the settings and switch on the controller. Apply track and remote to MIDI import, and we also need to activate track and sync to the MIDI output. So we send MIDI sync data to the DII ONE, just in case we want to synchronize any other hardware synth. Now let's press play, and we see MIDI clock is received from DII ONE. I can again divide it or put it to no division. And if I now want to assign MIDI CC to any of those parameters, I can simply do this by go to the MIDI learn settings and turn any of the knobs. I also can add the mixer button here and this button here and this button there. And now we can see I can add effects. I can change the mixer setting. Now you may ask why I can only change the value in this small area. That's because I've set minimum and maximum values to this controller. You can do that in the web configurator. And here with this knob you can control the full volume range. Yep, and as simple as that we can control Ableton Live. Okay, if you want to change settings in details on the DII ONE, you can use the ST Modular DII ONE Configurator. This is an HTML file you can open in your browser. And if you do that, you will see this screen. And first of all, you have to allow any MIDI devices to be controlled via this data file. And we say allow. And you can choose to add the DII ONE, which is registered as Arduino Leonardo because this is the bootloader that's used. And you simply choose it and press connect. As soon as it's connected, the LEDs quickly light up on the DII ONE. And you can also test the connection by pressing test, and the LEDs will indicate that the connection is still active. Now, you have the MIDI through mode, where you can define in which direction MIDI is passed through the DII ONE. I recommend to use both in most setups because this is the most flexible setting. Sometimes you may run into MIDI loops, but in this case you just need to disconnect one of the MIDI out or MIDI in connections. Now under the buttons tab you can set up any setting for the push buttons like CC values or note values. You can set them to momentary or latching. You can set the MIDI channel minimum maximum values, and you also can send roll rate, which is synced to the clock, and it will re-trigger the push button in these divisions. This can be done individually for all of the 4 buttons. You can set up the knobs, again with the CC number, MIDI channel number, minimum maximum value, sensitivity and dead zone. I'd recommend to ignore these settings, but sometimes if the maximum turn of the knob doesn't reach the maximum MIDI value, you could adjust these 2 parameters, but in most of the cases this is not actually necessary. You can also change the response curve from linear to logarithmic or anti-log if you want to have, for example, audio mixing tasks to do, so maybe logarithmic would be more suitable. You can again set up all these settings for all 4 knobs individually. You can set up MIDI filters, that certain MIDI data is not passed through the DII ONE. And at the end you have a MIDI monitor where you can see what MIDI value is assigned to each knob or push button. And you can also send MIDI clock to the DII ONE in order to check if the roll works as expected, like so. And you can also check if the clock division is applied properly. Yep. You can also save your settings to a file. This is done by quickly pressing this button, and you can again load it into the web configurator if you want to have presets for certain setups. Yeah, that's the configurator, which is available on the ST Modular website. Feel free to download it and use it for your needs. Yeah, and that's it. This is the DII ONE digital instrument interface. Have fun.